So we have 24 minutes, guys, of a beautiful Pathalerix video of he can't leave Elwynn Forest before he gets a WoW token. He cannot buy stuff from the auction now, so he has to farm his own materials himself. But let's go ahead and watch this and see how it goes in this episode, because I'm quite interested if he gets to leave Elwynn Forest today or not.
Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to Goldbound, the challenge where we've locked ourselves inside Elwynn Forest until we've earned enough gold to buy a WoW token. Because that token is our only key out. Once we buy it, we spin a wheel and randomly unlock a neighboring zone. And the grind continues. Our hero, Goldilocked. He can gather, he can craft, he can loot. And he can access the auction house, but only through Stormwind and only to sell. And
Only
last
to sell,
episode, we hit a wall. Market prices were crashing. Profits were drying up. We scraped the bottom of the barrel, trying to find anything that would sell. But today, Elwynn gives up a few secrets. Things so buried, even Wowhead barely knows they exist.
Okay.
So with that said, it's time to head back into the forest.
Interesting.
It's time to get farming. I decided to kick off the week by testing something classic, the Fargo Deep Mine.
The title is called "We got an ultra rare drop in Elwynn. Is it enough to escape?" So I wonder which item it is. I've been a lot of chat indeed. Me too. But I wonder what item it is. I have no clue what ultra rare item drop it could be in Elwynn. We'll see. We'll see. But I hope it's enough for him to escape Elwynn for sure.
Now, this is a quest zone, and nothing special at first glance. I was just going to scout for some linen cloth, kobold mining mallets, and maybe something sneaky worth farming. But only a few minutes into the preliminary tests, something dropped. It'd be the lowest drop rate I've ever knowingly received. Now, don't get me wrong. I wish I could say it was a random world drop epic, a T-Boo's blazing longsword, or anything that would command some insane gold. But in Goldbound, where every item has to come from our own hands, with no trades, no boosts, quality of life items can be just as valuable in a different way. And while we were scouting through the mine, we looted the Journeyman's Backpack, a 14-slot bag. I was doing preliminary research and wasn't recording when it dropped.
What?
The loot appraiser was on, and it's in the bag, and we got it from the kobold miners. Now, it's safe to say that in retail WoW, a 14-slot bag doesn't exactly turn heads. But here, for Goldilocked, in the zones we're locked to right now, and compared to our great picking 6-slot sack
bag, I guess,
and those massive 8-slot collector bags, this thing is huge. And if you've ever played classic WoW, you know. Looting a bag in a starting zone is a rush. And this is basically a runecloth bag drop in Elwynn. So according to Wowhead, the Journeyman's Backpack is a relatively rare drop from dungeon bosses and elite mobs. But the drop we got was from a kobold miner.
Yeah.
And get this. Across all of the logged kobold miner kills on Wowhead, there have only been 2 recorded drops.
What?
Out of 305,000 kills.
Oh.
That's a 0.00065% drop rate.
Is that for real?
Actually insane. More room for copper ore, more room for peace bloom, and more room for profit.
What the
With
fuck?
some extra bag space and a pipe dream of rare loot tables, I figured it was time to test out one of Elwynn's
insanely rare. Is that for real? Is it that rare, that bag? And it's worth 7 gold on the auction house? What a bummer. Holy moly. 0.000065. Okay. That is absolutely insane. I guess he... it's a good with some extra bag space for the challenge for sure, but guess he would rather take something more valuable. Because holy fuck, 7 gold for that chance? That is awful.
Most classic and deadly mobs, the Murloc. Now there are 3 main spawn zones for these guys. You'll find them around the islands in Crystal Lake, east of Stone Cairn Lake, and down south near the Brackwell Pumpkin Patch.
Yeah.
You'll find a mix of regular Murlocs, Murloc foragers,
what can you get from this?
Lurkers, and if you're lucky, a Murloc Tide Runner or 2. Their loot tables across all these variants are mostly the same, with a few different percentage points here and there. So really, any of the 3 farm spots will work, and better yet, these mobs do actually hyperspawn in all of the locations. That means...
But I wonder what this Murlocs is going to drop. I have no idea. I don't think he said so, but...
with just a bit of movement, you never run out of anything to kill. Sounds perfect, right? Well, except it isn't. After just about 3 to 5 minutes of farming in a single location, I noticed something odd.
Yep.
You see, linen cloth stopped dropping.
Yep.
It's a pretty high drop rate, and I was partially just farming these Murlocs to get some more cloth to make some more shirts.
Yep.
I also stopped getting greys and
He
greens.
encountered it.
All we were getting from the drops was silence,
bug.
a few Murloc fins, and clamshells. Now, it turns out this isn't just bad RNG.
Nope.
It's actually a known issue in the current patch of retail.
Yep.
A bug that apparently nukes loot tables in open world farms after only a few minutes of mob grinding. Kazaki read about this on the forums, and from our own testing, yeah, it doesn't look like it's fixed yet.
Yep.
This is a pretty big issue for open world.
This bug has been out for over 2 months now. It came in the 11.1.5 patch, I think it was, where we got the XP event. This bug started, and it has been there for since then. Sadly, I wish Blizzard fix it soon, but I don't know. They should come out and say something about it. It's quite boring that this bug is still here, and I guess this will hurt his challenge quite a bit, because this sucks.
World crafting reagent farms. So, to try to counter it, I started rotating between all 3 spawn locations,
Yeah.
hoping that changing the region would reset the drop rate. It kind of helped for a few kills, but not region would reset the drop rate. It kind of helped for a few kills, but not really. So I called it after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And here was the haul. 120 barnacled clams, 205 Murloc fins, only 35 linen cloth, a handful of copper ore and malachite, and 8 grey and white items.
Awful.
Most of which will just be vendor trash, but a few will go into the transmog bank for reposting later, because they have a decent sell rate and average list price. Now the fun part, the clams. When opened, these guys have about a 5% drop rate for pearls.
Okay.
Nothing groundbreaking, and while they only go for 10 gold each, it's not bad to stockpile them on Goldilocks in case we need them for a future crafting recipe.
Yeah, that's true.
All
We
in
might
all,
need them in the future.
Turns out not to be a very lucrative method, decent for cooking reagents, some white gear, and a little sprinkle of crafting mats, but nothing to write home about. The fins and clam meat will probably sell for about 30 gold total, but honestly, I might just bank them for some cooking XP down the road.
Yeah.
In short, Murloc farming is not the wave. At least not until Blizzard fixes the loot bug. We gave it a fair chance, but for now, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So, I decided...
Like, he spent 30 minutes there. Like, 30 minutes for like 100, 200, 300 gold or something. It is rough. This guy has, like, he does so much testing of farms, and they are usually so bad, like, wasting so much time. But it's also fun to see, of course. It's, like, insane how grindy this challenge is. It is ridiculous, but it's so fun to watch. Yeah, Blizzard fucked up old farms, yeah.
to give blacksmithing a go. Up until now, we haven't really touched it, mostly because copper ore, copper bars, and copper bolts have been some of our best sellers.
We kind of
Why mess with
tested
what's
blacksmithing.
working, right? But with the grind in full swing, and the auction house shelf starting to feel a little repetitive, I figured it was time to expand. Get a few new pieces in the rotation, and maybe turn some of that excess copper into something people might actually wear. So, first things first, the materials. I went out and gathered all that we'd need for the beginning of blacksmithing crafts.
More copper ore.
Obviously, the
Lovely.
main ingredient is going to be copper ore, smelted into bars. Some of the swords and two-handers actually eat up over 10 bars each, which starts to add up pretty fast when you're batch crafting like this. I also noticed that we needed light leather for a few recipes.
Ooh.
Presumably for the handles. I mean, the game doesn't really explain it, but that's what it says, so that's what we gotta get. And by popular demand from episode 3, yep, we're going back to the boar farm.
Oh, he's
At
back
least this
here
time,
to the
we're here with a
field.
purpose, and not just grinding for its own sake. We're farming leather that might actually turn a profit. So
Yeah.
after a few hours of farming, skinning, and smelting, we had everything we needed. Enough copper, enough leather, so let's get to crafting. And as we're crafting away, it feels like a good moment to talk about professions, and how
Yes.
they're going to work in the series. Right now, in Elwynn, things are pretty simple. We're working with level 1 materials, early recipes, and low skill caps. And that means it's easy to bounce between gathering and production professions without much friction or time sink. Take this blacksmithing run. We cap out at 75 skill in just a few minutes of crafting. A couple stacks of ore, some light leather, a vendor hammer, and that's it. We're done.
Yep.
But looking ahead, I can already see the problem brewing. Eventually, we're going to hit recipes in later zones that require 250 or even 300 blacksmithing. And that's where things will get tricky. Training that high with limited zone access is going to be a serious investment in both materials and time. One solution, of course, would be to open up a gold-bound warband, spin up some alts with specialized crafting roles, and honestly, it would probably be pretty fun.
Okay.
You could build a whole little economy that way. But that's not what this challenge.
Oh my god, that's a fun idea though. Oh my god, a gold-bound camp here. Imagine having 4 different tunes gold-bound. Wouldn't that be fucking amazing? Like, working between them and expanding. That sounds like a crazy good idea as well. But this sounds like a crazy idea to have like a camp here, a warbound camp with 4 characters that is locked into a zone locked, to use them together to make gold to unlock more zones. I wonder how you would do it then, because if you unlock a zone on one tune, can all of them go there? That would be quite fun though. Imagine that, if you have like all of them could go into that zone then, and you could make different gold on different characters. Sounds very interesting, actually. Very, very fun as well. If he gets Westfall next zone, there are some good transmog items there. Yeah, Westfall would be huge for him, I think. But I think Don Moreau would be the best for, like, fastest completion of next zone. But I don't know. I don't know what was best, but we discussed this in the previous episodes.
Challenge is about. From day one, this has been Goldilocks' journey. One character, one zone at a time. No shortcuts and no sidekicks. So going forward, we'll probably have to treat production professions more like seasonal grinds. Focus on them in bulk when we've got the materials, the access, and the levels, and then stockpile what we make and sell it off slowly over time. I'm sure that will throw more than a few spanners in the works, and we're probably going to hit some walls and some crafting dead ends. But
yeah.
hey, that's Goldbound. Okay, so
that is going to be a lot of work.
In the end, we pretty much just crafted 2 or 3 of everything that we had access to. Kept it pretty simple. The weapons, though, they seem to really stand out. Solid item values, decent sell rates, and even though they're low level, I wouldn't be surprised if a few of them actually got picked up by leveling alts.
Yeah.
Is it likely? Probably not, but possible.
But those have been
Either
selling.
way, we
The
ended up
green
with a good
hammer is pretty
handful
good,
of
I think.
extra items, and a ton of item value from just this little blacksmithing shuffle. Now, this won't be something we do every single day. Most of the green weapons already require a decently high blacksmithing level, but we'll keep an eye on what sells.
Yeah.
And if something actually moves quickly, we'll restock it when it makes sense. For now, it's just another inventory on the auction house to sit and wait for a couple buyers.
Yeah,
Anyway,
what's he gonna do
If
next?
you've watched episode 1, it's time to revisit some classic farms with some marginal improvements. Now, the first farm I want to circle back to is the Frayed Knot.
Okay.
And yeah,
Frayed Knots again.
with the spike in supply from the series, the prices have dropped. But interestingly, the sale rate is way up. It's no longer acting like a high-priced slow mover. Instead, it's trading more like a mid-priced, moderately fast mover. According to TSM, region-wide sales are clocking in at over 200 per day. Even at just 200 gold, that's still 40,000 gold
That is
in
good.
daily volume in the region. Now, I do have a hunch that some of that is people maybe trying to reset the market back up to 500 or 1,000 gold. But hey, a free market is a free market. And if we can sell 200, we'll sell 200.
Oh my god,
So,
how many is he
how do
gonna
we get
farm
that?
now?
Well, back in episode 1, we rotated between all the humanoids in Elwynn to reset the pickpocket loot every 10 minutes while keeping up a high rate of pickpockets. Still probably the best knots per hour method, but we found a more chill and slightly more AFK friendly alternative. Down by the Brackwell Pumpkin Patch are a few unique quest mobs. There's Erlin Drudgemore,
Okay.
Serena Caledon, and of course, Morgan the Collector. And, you guessed it, all 3 can drop the Frayed Knot.
Okay.
And to make this nice and AFK, they're tied to a quest chain, which means they're on a forced respawn timer. About 15 to 30 seconds.
No, but, oh my god,
So,
this is good
You
then.
can pickpocket them, kill them, let them respawn, and do it all over again. All while watching your favorite YouTubers.
Nice.
It's not the fastest, but it's AFK friendly, steady, and a low effort padding. for
Yeah,
the Frayed
this is
Knot
good.
mod. And the second farm we've made some improvements on, well, it's time to return to the crazy cat lady.
Okay.
Again, If you remember from episode 1, this whole gold making method revolves around reselling Donna's cats on the auction house.
Did he sell them?
It's simple, and it's charming, and only mildly deranged. But there's actually a neat little trick you can do after you've bought the cats in crates.
Cage them and
The game
uncage?
treats new, and I guess you could call them used cats differently.
Oh, yeah.
If you right-click the crate to learn the pet, and then open your pet journal, you can select the cat and choose to put it back in the cage. And then, if you check the bags, the cat is back, but this
Yeah.
time, it's flagged as a different item. And the auction house and TSM sale data shows a separate listing for the cage version versus the crate
Yeah, and it
version.
seems to be selling
And since
faster
these
as well.
cats are basically Goldilocks' only companions in Elwynn, I figured we should add one to the series. So meet Goldie Cat. From now on, whenever we're pickpocketing through the woods, we
Okay.
might have little orange tag along. But back to the sales. When we check the auction house, both the caged cat and the crate cat are actually listed separately, and with different prices. And the
Yeah.
weird part, the caged cats, aka the used cats, often sell for more. Now this is probably because not everyone knows the difference, but this trick lets us list both versions, doubling our market presence and doubling our chances to sell.
Yep, this is
Not
good.
bad for a couple silver and a trip to our good friend Donna's. Now,
I don't think he's gonna sell a lot of cats though, but it's still good for sure to do that. To get some more items. And I think, like, I do believe I have bought those uncaged cats as well from the auction house, probably. Trying to flip or something, and the sellers is just trolling me, probably buying them from the vendor and posting them, and I'm buying them more expensive to try to sell them even more expensive. Guess I've done that probably a lot of times. So it can work. I don't know, 1.4k seems to be a lot for that kitten, but maybe it will sell. We'll see. Will be crazy to see the total played for the token. Yeah, that will be crazy, Buffy. I wonder how many hours or days it will be for this token. It will be a lot of days, probably.
Now, it wouldn't be a Goldbound episode without a bit of dual gathering. But since we've already min-maxed the routes last episode, we're not here to test the gold per hour. This run is more about capitalizing on the clean gathers and soaking in the ambiance. And honestly, it's the perfect time for a little fireside chat. Let's talk about the series. And more importantly, what comes next.
Yes.
As you know, we are somewhat on the cusp of unlocking our next zone. And by the end of this episode, we'll know if we made it, or if there's still a little bit left in that threshold.
Yep.
But either way, it's time to think ahead. One of the biggest questions I've gotten lately is what happens to Elwynn once the next zone is unlocked?
Yeah, exactly. This I
And
wonder
also
too.
specifically, what happens to all the transmog, materials, and loot we farmed up so far? Well, here's the plan. The objective of Goldilocks is to slowly unlock his way across Azeroth,
Yeah.
zone by zone, token by token. And when we unlock a new zone, we do keep access to all of the previous ones.
Yeah,
That
this is
means-
what I like. This is what I hoped for as well. That he has access for the previous ones. Because we discussed this last episode. If he were stuck in a new zone then and was only able to like fly back to the auction house, but he has Elwynn Forest available for himself then. So that is very cool and awesome. Because that makes it better for him as well to have a way more diversified farming. And he will be able to do way more stuff in this way, and I think this is very good that he does it this way and not like he's only stuck to the new zone. That would be kind of boring in my opinion. So I'm very happy to hear this.
When we unlock our neighboring zone, Elwynn will stay available, but we'll primarily keep it as a logistical base and really not as an active place for farming.
Okay.
The idea is to move forward, to explore each new zone for unique, hidden, or forgotten ways to gold. If we ever fully exhaust a zone, completely squeeze it dry, we might just dip back into a previous one for a bit of backup income.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said for the innovation that comes when you're really focusing on only one zone. There's no hard rules against it, but I want to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
And as for the loot that we've collected in Elwynn, we're keeping it all. Every piece of transmog, every rare drop, every stack of peace bloom, it will stay in the inventory, the bank, and the auction house.
Yeah, that's good.
I actually think that this is going to be one of the most interesting parts of the series. Watching how those early zone items sell over time, as the market evolves, and how Goldilocks' inventory turns into more long-term passive income.
Yep.
Plus, as we get stronger, more efficient, and unlock higher level zones, the pace of the challenge will naturally pick up. But let's be real. For how long Elwynn is taking, I don't think we'll be coming back here for cutting edge gold per hour anytime soon. I mean,
Probably not. He's been here quite a lot now mining those copper ores. So I guess he's not so tempted to go back. But I wonder how much faster the next zone will be. I can't see it ramping up that much. But it's good that he keeps his transmog and stuff at least, because then it's going to be able to like add up and compound over the zones, and probably going to be easier and easier to make gold and probably ramp up quite a bit, even though those items is not the best, but still.
because of that, there's still a long road ahead for Goldilocks. And hey, let me know what you think, but Goldilocks the Explorer has a nice ring to it. And that's not just a title, it's an actual achievement in the game, only granted to the brave few who have fully uncovered and explored every corner of every zone in Azeroth. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. For now, Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor will be more than enough to test us.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed, because there's still a lot of stories to tell.
You have to subscribe to Pathalerix, guys, and like the video. I will be linking the video when we're done here, so you guys can go and sub and like, of course.
And drop a comment below, because for every WoW token Goldilocks unlocks, we're giving away one to a random subscriber and commenter.
Yep.
This journey is just getting started, and I'm glad you're here for it. So, let's get back into the grind. And speaking of building up an inventory, we were running one of our many frayed knot routes, and decided to take out a few dockhands along the way.
Yeah.
And, we got another 14 slot bag.
Yeah, that has bugged. The drop rate is bugged, and there is no chance he got another one at that drop rate for sure.
I'm honestly confused. I
Yep.
even checked Wowhead, and this bag isn't even listed on the drop table.
Yep.
Not after over 10,000 recorded kills. So, either something really strange is going on with the drop rates, scaling, and how old world zones work when you've out-leveled them, or Goldilocks is just the luckiest character in Azeroth.
Yeah, no
I
way.
mean, I'm not complaining. Right now, our auction house reposts take 6 to 8 trips just to list about 120 items.
Ooh,
That's how tight our bag space is.
he's building
So,
up inventory
bigger
for sure.
bags, big happy. Still, I'm keeping my eye on those drop rates because something isn't adding up.
Yeah.
But with all this extra space, let's craft up something we might be able to sell for a little more profit. And by the way, all this gathering, it wasn't just for B-roll. This time around, we actually focused a bit more on herbs than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back in episode 3, we ran a full dual gathering test. And honestly,
Interesting.
we determined that herbs weren't even worth picking up. And the culprit was alabaster pigments. I'd gone through every recipe I could learn from the trade skill trainers in Elwynn.
But let's continue with 6 minutes left of this, and we're gonna see how much he ends up with. But I do believe that this is a good route for him to go into Inscription here. This might make him a lot of gold now, we'll see. But I hope so. Already the Moonglow ink seems very profitable.
Nearly all of them just turned those pigments into Moonglow ink, and those into scrolls that sold for nothing. And while Moonglow ink can sometimes trade for double the price of alabaster,
Yeah.
the market's a little unstable, so I wrote it off. But this past weekend, while I was cutting weight for a powerlifting meet, just passing the time in Elwynn, I started theory crafting, looking for new, overlooked, and novel ways to turn a profit. And I think we found one. And there's a reason I left this farm for the latter half of the video.
Nice.
I wanted to make sure only the dedicated Goldbound viewers made it this far, because this might be one of those little tricks that only works for a few days before the market catches on. So here's what I found. Low-level Inscription in Elwynn doesn't just offer recipes from trainers. It actually has a discovery system built in. That's right. An experimentation mechanic that unlocks new recipes from experimenting with inks.
And he can get
It's
glyphs
got
that
my
way.
attention. At first, I kind of assumed it would just lead to some more level scrolls, maybe +5 intellect, +3 stamina, the kind of stuff that nobody uses past level 10. But I was wrong. The vast majority of these discoveries are actually glyphs.
Yep.
And in retail WoW, glyphs are pretty much purely cosmetic,
Nice.
meaning they're usable and valuable to characters of any level. And that means they can at times command max level prices. One glyph in particular stands out, the Glyph of Stars. This glyph changes a druid's moonkin form into a sleek, translucent astral form. It's flashy and it's popular,
Nice.
and in most realms it actually sells pretty well. So
Huge
here's the
sell
play.
rate. Huge sell
We'll
rate.
start crafting Moonglow ink from alabaster pigment. And then, once we have a stack of Moonglow ink, we'll begin the discovery process. Each experiment costs ink, and every time you try, you can unlock a random glyph recipe and some random scrolls. I'm not too sure all the scrolls you can get from this. Most of them seem to be kind of junk, but there might be some rare ones in there too. So we'll make sure to check the value in all of them. But some glyph recipes, like the Glyph of Stars, have an average sale price of around 66 gold, with over 1,400 units sold daily across the region.
That is
and
really
only
good.
costs 3 Moonglow ink per glyph. That's 6 alabaster pigments. So we still need to be careful of the margins, but any glyph that sells for more than 35 gold is pretty much solid profit. And with a bit of luck, this could be a great way to turn a low-level herb
Like
into some real gold.
1,400 sell rate is selling really
keep it
quick.
quiet, all right?
Sells so
But
many
really,
each day.
The auction house is a PvP
Easily.
environment, so have at it. With our 2 weeks of farming since episode 3 behind us, it's about time.
Okay, so he took 2 weeks of farming for this episode. I wonder how much he have made now. Let's see, this is gonna be
Time
fun.
to crack open the old mailbox and see just how much gold we made this episode. And if you've been checking during the episode, or back in episode 3, you'll know we've been hovering around 125,000 gold. So let's
Yeah.
ride on over to the classic gold shower mailbox, pop that latch, and tally it all up.
This is gonna be
along
interesting.
With a fresh /played reveal. But right on the top, we have a legitimate full stack of 20 frayed knots.
He's getting
Those sold
closer.
for about 180 gold each. And the glyph farm, well, we just started doing it recently, but we've still landed over 90 sales, so just about 8,000 gold this week. Not bad at all. And of course, as we can see here, we're still slinging the usual classics. Copper bolts, shirts, scraps of gear. But something a bit different is one of our thuggish shields sold for 3k gold. I mean, honestly, someone got
Nice.
a bargain, but I'm still going to take that gold every day. And a few of our newly crafted blacksmithing weapons moved too.
For
Not
4,000?
insanely massive ticket items, but some really solid margins on those. So that time investment
What?
definitely paid off. All right, and the rest is kind of the usual suspects. So let's go ahead.
That
and open
is
all
insane.
And hear that sweet sound.
Yeah, let's see how much he ends up with here. Because he had 50k in the first mailbox there. Is he gonna make 200k, you think?
Yep.
Or like over
That
200k?
never gets old.
Maybe he will get over 200k now. I do believe he will, actually. In total.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
54,000
Never
gold
mind,
collected
54,000
just
he
in
made.
Elwynn these past 2 weeks, bringing us to a grand total of 179,800 gold. And if you
Okay.
remember, we're targeting the floating price of the WoW token, which right now is
it's going
275,000
up
gold.
and up, really?
So, officially T-minus 100,000 gold to unlock the next zone. And as for the /played, well, 4 days,
4
12
days.
hours total.
12 hours.
So that averages out to about 1,660 gold per hour played.
Oof,
And
oof,
keep in
oof,
mind,
oof, oof.
that's with a small stockpile still sitting in the auction house.
Yeah.
We've got some momentum now, no question. So check out episode 5 here, once it's live, to see if that's the one, the long-awaited escape from Elwynn. We are close, travelers, and may your blades never dull.
Amazing episode as always. So he is getting closer and closer and closer now to the mark of the WoW token, even though it seems to be raising in price. Guys, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to his channel. It's amazing. He's doing so good on this.